Welcome to the You Seem Great podcast. I'm Becca, a former therapist and matchmaker turned date coach.
And I'm Talia, a professional matchmaker and founder of a leading matchmaking company. Together, we have helped hundreds of singles find love. We're here to share our expert tips and tricks to help you find and keep love too. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the You Seem Great podcast. Today, we're talking about flirting. One of my very favorite subjects.
One of Talia's strongest skill sets, I would say.
That is true.
Before we get into it,
Yes.
I have news. I got a house.
No!
Yeah!
Oh my gosh.
I've been saving it.
Oh my God. This
got a
is
house.
real.
After 5 rejections.
Okay. This is the best
Someone
news ever.
wants us.
And Becca, how do you feel? Do you feel grateful for all that you've been through?
You know what? I feel scared we're going to lose it in escrow somehow.
Interesting.
After so much rejection, you become fearful. Not unlike dating.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But super excited.
Okay.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yes. Do you think you would have been as excited if that was the first house that you saw that you got?
I would have been just as excited, but I would have had a lot of doubts of what else is out there.
Interesting.
So I do feel like by going through the process, I know what's out there. I know exactly what the worth of different areas is, and I feel very confident in the decision we made.
Yes. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I had to report because we did experience a live rejection.
Yes.
And now we have a live acceptance.
Amazing news.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Come visit.
Oh, cannot
November
wait.
1st. I'll be there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody go see Becca November 1st.
Yeah, no, it's not for everyone. That's just for Talia.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Amazing news. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's get into flirting, which is a very important topic.
Which I actually had to do to get this house. I had to write a letter and show my family to convince them. So flirting helps all around.
Interesting.
People.
That's a whole separate subject. I have thoughts on that practice.
Yeah.
But
it
for
worked.
Another time. It worked. It worked. Yes.
Yeah.
I would sell you a house.
Thank you. I'd sell me a house.
Okay. So let's get into flirting. And there are all different types of flirting. I prefer a kind flirting technique, but there's also negging, which is negative flirting. It's negative comments.
Yeah. It's a little like elementary playground vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like pickup artist community vibes. It can work, but it's not fun to be on the receiving end.
Yeah. Say more about like what negging is, because I just recently became privy to this.
Oh, really? I'll give you a perfect example because I've been negged. I'll tell you exactly what he said to me. And I went on to date him. So it worked, but it wasn't fun. I was with a guy and I was late 20s and he asked me how old I was. And I said, oh, I'm 27. He goes, really? I thought you were 35.
Oh.
So that burned.
And you know he was aware of what he was doing.
100%. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. He was the guy that would read The Game, you know, that book.
Oh, yeah.
So he knew what was up. And it stung. I still dated him. So it can be effective. I'm just not a fan of that kind of flirting.
But how is it effective? Is it because it just creates a power dynamic? Like they become more desirable? What is it?
Yeah, it like knocks down your confidence in some way. I don't know. There's some like manipulative tactic.
Oh, ew.
I know. I don't know exactly the science behind it, but I feel like if you are interested in someone and they knock you down a little bit, that you might like them more.
Yeah. I guess like I could see how sarcasm can fit into that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of like sarcastic flirting that can be a little bit harsh.
Yeah. Big fan of kind flirting, authentic, genuine flirting to get the same goal.
Yeah, same.
So before we get into all the details, I'm curious, when you were single, were you flirty? And if so, like what was your go-to move?
Ooh, it's so hard to self-reflect in that way, but I think what I'm good at is making people feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And at times that would come across flirty. I'm really good at like showing interest in topics that are interesting to other people and holding conversation. So at times that was my version of flirting, but I wouldn't say it always came off like romantic or interested in a romantic way. I think I struggled with bridging that gap because I always liked to hold everything kind of close to me. Like I didn't like being overly flirty or anything with someone. So yeah, I most of the time would just like connect really well with people, but then would be a bit guarded in the romantic piece of it.
I can see that. I 100% can see that. I feel like you would really make someone feel seen, feel heard. You like bond with them.
Yeah.
But then I think you might be nervous to like go all out.
Yes. I had many guys tell me after like many months of friendship, like, what is going on? What is this? And I'm like, oh, is something going on? What I was not aware of? Why don't you tell me? But they always were a little bit confused of where they stood, which honestly, kind of a power move.
100%. I think that,
yeah,
exactly. You want to get them curious, like, does she like me? Is she interested? But not 100% no for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I think when I met my husband, though, I was like full blown. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was flirty because I felt like he was interested and I was interested.
Yes, you probably felt safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me your tricks. You are.
I know you're the
all
the
flirter.
tricks up my sleeve.
You flirted with me on our first photo shoot.
I know. I'm into flirting, and I dated a lot. Maybe too much. Some might say I dated too much, but I did a lot of dating from like high school until I met my husband. Not one guy that I had a relationship with came up and said, "You seem great. I'd love to take you on a date." Like not one guy came up and just asked me out. Every single person I was in a relationship with, I orchestrated. I had to flirt in order to show interest, and then they asked me out or I asked them out.
Yeah.
But it was all me. I had to flirt my way into it.
I have a firm belief that it is the woman's job to create the opening for the man to then take the lead.
Yes.
And so I feel like that's what you're speaking to. Like
exactly.
You flirted so that they could pursue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's not overkill. So we'll go through some of the tactics. They're very subtle, very simple, but very effective.
Do you feel like flirting is similar for men and women?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the tactics are the same. Flirting is a little bit different dependent on the situation. So we'll start with how to flirt with someone when you see them multiple times. And then we'll go into how to flirt with someone on a date. And then finally, how to flirt with someone if you just meet them in the wild and you may never see them again.
Yeah. Before we even jump into that,
okay.
One of the ways that I always work with my clients in flirting is I ask them the way that they're most comfortable expressing their affection towards other or their appreciation towards others naturally. So are you more of a thoughtful gifts kind of person? Are you more of a physical touch person? Are you more of a verbal affirmation kind of person? What's your comfort zone? And then stretch that a little bit more and do a little bit more of that. So there's ways to tailor it to what you're already comfortable with, because a lot of people are like, I'm not a flirt. I don't know how to create banter or come across sexy. It's like, it's really less about that. It's more about how you're showing interest in somebody else in a more overt way that leads to romantic chemistry. So play on your strengths that you already have or the places you already feel comfortable.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
That is all flirting is. It's showing interest in a playful way.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay. So let's first get into flirting with someone that you see more than once. So what this means is maybe you're in business school together, or you might work together, or you go to a trivia night and you see this person often, someone that you're going to see on a regular basis.
Gyms, coffee shops.
Exactly. Your barista.
Yeah. Workout classes.
Yes.
Anything repetitive. Prime.
So the first thing just to keep in mind is you should not flirt with everyone. Like, do not flirt with your boss. Do not flirt with your employees. Do not flirt with someone with a ring. Like, make sure you're flirting with an appropriate person, and then game on. In this situation when you're seeing them repeatedly, the best approach is the breadcrumbing approach. So this is every time you see them, some like subtle way to show them that you're interested. And as we just mentioned, have them wonder, like, is he or she actually interested? Like, is there something here? You know, not like hitting them over the head with it. It's just like a tiny little tactic to get them curious. Like a very simple way to do this to start is eye contact. I know this sounds simple, but it is effective.
It's also one of the hardest things for people to do, strangely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about it. It's different between now and if you just meet someone random in the wild. This is like a quick catching their eye and smiling. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a long gaze, but that is one way. And then another very simple way is a compliment. So you walk into the gym or wherever you see this person, you're like, ooh, I like your shoes, or like, nice hat. Something about their appearance, or it can be a compliment about something else. Like, let's say it's trivia night. You're like, oh, you nailed that answer. I'm so impressed. I can't believe you knew that. It can be a compliment about anything, a presentation, a performance.
Hence, kind flirting, not negging, where you're like, wow, you majorly bombed on that trivia tonight.
Totally like those shoes. Yeah.
Right.
We're going for kind flirting here.
Yeah. And notice in Talia's voice, the enthusiasm that she had. It's all about tone as well. You want it to be warm, inviting, and genuine and, excited, enthusiastic.
100%. That's so important. Like encouraging, you're in a gym class together, give them a high five, like show enthusiasm and support. So that is super easy. Then when you can, strike up a conversation, and this conversation can be so short. Like it can be one sentence. Capture something that you can use later. So even if it's like, oh, I got to run, I'm going to the Dodger game. Great, that's all you need. The next time you see them, hey, how was the Dodger game? I saw Shohei hit a home run. How was it? You have some piece of information that you got from the original conversation that you can ask a follow-up question, because listening is sexy.
Yes.
Exactly. So key.
Also, little hack, when you are in that conversation, if you have the time and if the conversation is flowing into this direction, asking about weekend plans or if they know any cool spots around the area. So you can also gauge if they include, oh, my boyfriend and I or my girlfriend and I. This is also a good opportunity to clarify that they are single. Typically, someone in a relationship will bring up their boyfriend or girlfriend in the first one or two conversations to indicate, I'm happy to be friends with you, but this can't go further. So anything that you can do to just kind of ask around at their day-to-day life or what they have planned coming up will give you some indication of if they're single.
Yes. That just sort of reminded me. I feel like this happens often when I'm recruiting singles. Maybe it's because I'm catching them off guard, but I'll see someone in the grocery store. I'd be like, hey, any chance you're single? And they'll go, yeah. Wait, no, I'm not single.
I used to have experiences when I was a matchmaker. I would always go to coffee shops to find my singles. I used to have experiences, especially like men my age, where I'd be like, hey, are you single? And I wasn't engaged yet. I didn't have a ring. And they'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, I'm a matchmaker. And they're like, oh. And it was such a funny like, meh. But then I would tell them about my client and it would get exciting again. But there is an element to that where it was like, oh, like someone's approaching me to date me. I'm like, no.
Exactly.
But I have somebody else.
I know that is why we're teaching you all to approach someone, because look how excited they get. It doesn't happen often. So they will notice your bravery.
And they never think it's as weird as you worry that it might come across.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like people are so scared. Like, will I look like a weirdo? Will I sound weird? Almost every person that I approached as a matchmaker was so open, so kind, so receptive to it, because once you offer that connection or that entry point, like everybody's open to connection unless they're in a rush or not in the situation for it. But you can gauge that,
completely.
Gauge that from body language. So,
and worst case, they're not interested. They are so flattered that you just approached. You made their day.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. So going back to flirting, this is probably my favorite tactic. It is bringing them something. So I'll give you an example. When I was single, I was working in a TV production house and there was a cute editor. So I go to Starbucks and I grab a cookie, and on the way back, I just drop it on his desk. And I was like, hey, like, here you go. Hope you have a great day. Leave. That's it. Then I get a call from him that night inviting me to a concert. It was so simple. Just, I thought of you. Here's a cookie. I had another girlfriend who's an attorney, and she was in a trial with a bunch of other attorneys outside of her firm. And this guy thought she was cute, figured out her coffee order on the first day. And then every day she came for that trial, there was a coffee waiting for her. He picked up one for himself and one for her. And that is effective. She thought it was so thoughtful.
Yeah.
So
are they together? Did they date?
They dated.
Okay.
They are not together.
Okay.
But it worked.
They dated. Success.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a success. You can even, like, if you are at the gym and you meet someone and you talk about, like, what do gym people talk about? Like a healthy snack or a protein bar.
Protein.
So never step foot in a CrossFit, but I'm imagining we're in CrossFit. Then you go home, you buy the snack, or maybe you have an extra one. The next time you go, oh, hey, I brought something for you.
Yeah. Make a little extra protein shake that morning.
Yes.
You know, like, hey, I was telling you about the protein shake I make every morning. Here's a little sip of it.
Exactly.
A little sampler.
For my yoga class, there's someone that brings in espresso for the yoga teacher every time.
Wow.
So
that's
maybe
just
try to tell them something.
Yeah. That's nice.
So I love this tactic. It's so simple and effective, as all of these are. So now we're getting into a little less subtle tactics that can be
before
tricky.
we even get there, though.
Yes.
How can we progress in knowing that we should continue to build the rapport in the way that we've been going? You just like do all of this and then hope that someone is responsive?
Okay, I should say, do not do all of these. Like, pick one or two of these and then read the room. Is there some reciprocation? Are they talking to you a little bit more? Just get a read. The entire purpose of this is just to get more quality time with them. It's not even to land a date. So is there some way that you're getting more quality time with them? Are they asking you additional questions? So read the room and see if any of these tactics are working.
Yeah. I would say, like, you're assessing quality time or building quality time, but also assessing, qualifying if they're single and available.
Yes, exactly. That's it. This is the long game here. We're just getting the pieces of information so that we know how to move forward. Okay, so these can get a little dicey, but let's say you have their phone number. You can text them some meme or some quote or something that you think they'd enjoy, but that's it.
Okay, wait, but how did we get to the phone number?
Well, let's say
we're skipping steps here.
I think there are times where you might get someone's phone number, like through school or trivia, just forming activities together, or let's say you work together, you might actually have their number.
Yeah.
So you can use it, but it's a bold move, and I would not go too deep there. You're not trying to start a pen pal conversation and flirt over text. If you want to show you've thought about them or something funny came up, then you can send them a message.
Yeah. If you don't yet have their number, a trick that I highly recommend is if there's something mutual that you guys have spoken about, an event, a hobby you both know you're interested in, you can say, yeah, shoot me your number and I can give you any information that I have on that. Mm-hmm. Or I'd love to stay up to date on this event. Do you mind if we exchange numbers and we can touch base anytime this comes up? So it's a way to kind of make it about something else, but then get access to their number.
Yes. You can also do something like this. So let's say something funny happened in between times. You can say something like, oh, I wish I had your number. I wanted to text you when this thing happened. Something sneaky like that.
This is why you're so good. So good.
So effective.
Also, once you have their number, my favorite move that I almost always advise my clients who are unsure about a potential connection but want to reach out is you can say, hey, there's this event going on that I know we spoke about. I'm going to be going. Would you like to meet me there? Mm-hmm. So it's not dependent on them saying yes or no.
Yes.
You're just indicating you're going and offering the invite in a neutral way. Then you can assess the vibe from there. But it's a way where it's I'm going either way.
Exactly.
Just giving you an invitation.
Yeah. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, but We Should works pretty well.
Yes. We've had clients come back since that podcast has aired and told us how effective that is.
Yes.
So
it's you have that conversation about the concert, the art museum, whatever. Oh, we should go sometime. Let me grab your number and we can plan it.
Yes. Easy.
So easy. These things are so easy. Everybody can do them. Okay. So you have their number. We talked about that. Again, not subtle. You can follow them on social media.
Not subtle. Depends on your age group.
Depends on your age group.
21 to 35, the norm is to follow on social media.
I know. I do feel like it sends a signal of like, I'm interested in following you.
Interesting.
Not terrible, not bad. Not subtle, but not bad.
Yeah.
It like can be that might be your way in.
I think the less subtle thing is when you follow and then really quickly watch all the stories and like a lot of photos.
Oh, don't accidentally like something from like 5 years ago.
No, that's a no. But yeah, that's, I feel like when you start getting into like, oh, that's a lot.
Yes, exactly. That's the point. Like we do not want to come on too strong here. It's baby steps to get to the quality time.
Yes.
And so you can, again, read the room to see like if there's something there between the two of you.
Yeah.
So
also, wait.
Yes, keep going.
Quick reminder. If you are going to follow that person, assume that person will follow you back and make sure your Instagram is up to par.
Yes.
Don't have some like, douchey frat party photo as your first photo because you haven't used Instagram in 10 years and that's the first thing that they're going to see.
100%.
So if you're going to take the social media route, be confident about your social media as a reflection of who you are today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have some old photos of exes. It's time to delete most of them at least.
Yeah. So that people are like, sister or ex? I don't know. It should be that vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen that Instagram?
No. But
Sibling or a couple?
No.
Oh my gosh. This is golden. It's just photos of couples where you're like, are they siblings or couples? And sometimes they are siblings and sometimes it's couples. Wow. It's one of the funniest, most mind-twisting Instagrams.
Interesting.
And sadly, I think a photo of Max and I would look like a photo of siblings.
But so many couples, like a lot of people end up looking for like similar features.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you'd mention it, I can think of a handful of couples that would be perfect for that.
Yeah, my husband and I look more alike than he does with his own sister sometimes.
Yeah. It's the ego.
Yeah.
You just find someone
Can't
that looks
deny
just
it.
like you.
Yeah. He also looks like Mark Ruffalo, who's like, my celebrity crush.
So cute.
Yeah, there's that. Anyways, I digress. Make sure your Instagram is up to par.
Up to par.
Yeah.
Yes, great point. Okay, I just want to double down on the point of this. Is not to necessarily land a date. Although, bonus, you've hit the jackpot if you get a date out of this. It's really just to spend some extra time with this person. So when I think I've told the story 800 times, so I'm not going to share how I met my husband, but it was at a party and he got my number. We did not have a date after that. We messaged and had a group date. We went to dinner with a bunch of people. And then we were the last people standing. So the point was to get quality time with each other. And then we went on a proper date. So that's all you need, even if it's in a group setting, is to spend more quality time with this person.
Yeah.
Now you get on a date with this person. So Becca, take it away. I want to know how you're flirting on the date.
Okay. I am very passionate about this topic because I talk to a lot of my clients about this topic, especially post-pandemic. A lot of people are like, I don't know how to flirt. So I love talking about it. First thing, and we've spoken about this before, but be in the right headspace and make sure you have some kind of pre-date ritual that gets you to feel confident because you are way less likely to flirt if you don't feel confident. So if you just came from work and you're still sweaty in your work clothes and you don't feel great about how you look or feel, it's going to be really hard to want to flirt and put yourself out there. So make sure that you feel like you smell good, you look good, everything. Just kind of put yourself in the best position possible to be confident. And scent is everything. Wear perfume, wear cologne. I think it's underrated, cologne especially. Not a lot of people wear cologne anymore.
I know, you're right. I don't smell it as much, but it works.
It does work. Yeah, it's like a pheromone thing. I don't know. So
but
that's a little
not
hack.
Too much.
The number one thing also, once you're on the date, is body language and how you position yourself on the date. One of the things I learned from you when we were doing matchmaking and telling our clients about how to approach the first date is sometimes it's actually better to sit side by side at a bar or in a booth because then you can have a little bit more closeness, but you can also sit with your knees touching. You have maybe your arms bumped together. So It's these really minor touches that aren't overly, accentuated, especially for the first date, that start to build the inklings and thoughts of romantic chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So put your body position in the right way to be able to have those, because otherwise you're not going to reach across the table and ask for the person's hand unless you're having like a 10 out of 10 stellar date.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be able to have access to closeness.
Yeah. The other thing that can happen when you're sitting next to someone is you may be more comfortable and more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
If you are sitting right across from someone, you're staring in their eyes, like you just might not open up. But it's like when you sit next to somebody in a car and you're just opening up, you don't have to actually stare at them in the face. And so people tend to feel more comfortable and vulnerable in that setting.
Yeah. One thing I've been doing with my husband when we go out to restaurants is scanning the room and trying to observe who might be there on an early stage date.
Best game ever.
Yeah. It's like every matchmaker, I'm pretty sure, does this. And I will say the couples that look way more comfortable, even though I know it's a first date just from, like how they're sitting with each other, all of that. It's the ones that are sitting at the bar together. There's just like an ease and effortlessness that's happening that when the other couples are sitting across from each other, they're more crossed arms or hunched over. There's just like a feeling of closed offness in those scenarios.
Yeah. Easier access to a drink too. So
yeah.
They might be.
But don't be worried for all the first daters. I'm not listening to conversations. Don't
I
be
am
self-conscious.
Watch out.
I told that to my sister-in-law who's single, and she's like, great. Now every time I go on a first date, I'm going to be thinking of who's watching me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't help it.
I used to go on dates with my husband and be like, hold on one second. There's a cute guy over there. And I would go and I'd be like, are you single? He was such a trooper.
Yeah. My husband loved that part of me too. Okay. The other thing is, we've spoken about this before, but mirroring body language. And this can be even like pace of walking. This could be pace of speech, tone of speech. Mm-hmm. If you have someone who's a bit of a quiet talker, don't talk super loud. Like, you want to match them, because then it's going to make them feel innately heard, seen, more comfortable with you. So that's a really easy way to build connection in a pretty subconscious way, but that, is easy to do and to shift into.
I was just picturing two like low talkers on a stage.
I used to have a roommate who, I won't even say where, but who was such a loud talker. And all I could think about when we would go out and get drinks or dinner together was how everybody else could hear. And so it made me want to be way more quiet to balance
to try to
it
bring
out.
her down.
And it wouldn't. And it made me stressed. I was not able to focus on the conversation. Yeah. So it's a thing.
Tough. It's a thing.
Yeah. The thing I love also, I want to circle back to the little touches. One of my favorite things to teach my male clients is there is nothing classier than when you are being walked to your table or to your bar. And when the man puts his hand on, and this isn't a, male-female couple, the man puts his hand on the upper back to guide her forward.
Yes.
That is a move.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said the upper back.
Yes. Do not put it on the lower back too soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That move to me is always like chivalrous, classy, assertive.
Yes. Perfect light touch. I have heard that people be creeped out when they're like are on the neck or their lower back, like too soon.
Yeah.
I know. But
yeah.
So upper back.
Yeah. Like
works.
Between the shoulder blades,
Yeah. Measuring.
Exactly. Keep it in the shoulder blades. Do you have a favorite move?
Oh, interesting. This is so old school, but I always appreciated when people would open my door or open the door.
For some reason, I thought when you went old school, you're going to be like when they put their coat down in the puddle.
Not that old school. But I like a little chivalry.
Yeah. Yeah. Just open a door. And like, yeah, everywhere. Anyways,
exactly.
I have stories on that, but I won't go into that.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to touch on some compliments? Because I feel like you are the queen of complimenting with the right tone.
Yes. Okay. So 100% you can say something on the date like, you look beautiful, or, oh, you look handsome. You can, it's okay to talk about appearance in that way, but just one time, like, don't keep talking about it.
Also make it playful. Don't make it serious.
Yes.
Don't be like, you look beautiful.
Dang.
Yeah. You look beautiful.
Exactly.
That's the tone.
Light and done.
Yes.
Make it feel good. And then that's it. But another way to compliment is when they're talking, just to show that you're like truly engaged and listening. So things like, wow, you climbed Mount Everest by yourself. That's so brave. That's amazing. You know, just something in whatever they're sharing or whatever they're talking about. Like, that is such an interesting perspective. Wow. Anything like that, any follow-up to what they're saying, like that is essentially a compliment. And also to like really be engaged in what they're saying. So let's say they talk about going on a trip to New Zealand. You're like, oh, I've been dying to go to New Zealand. Like, what was your favorite part? Like, just be engaged in what they have to say. So it's like some way of complimenting, but also showing that you are right there and you want to learn more. Like even saying, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. I find like curiosity is underrated when it comes to first dates. A lot of times we want to ping pong back stories or share facts. But if you can just ask 2 follow-up questions, that's incredible. What made you want to go to Australia specifically? What was your favorite part? That's such a connecting thing to do, and it makes the other person feel heard. Mm-hmm. So even if the topic itself isn't something that you're interested in, even if you're never going to play pickleball and they won't shut up about pickleball, ask them something that would be interesting to you. How did you get into that?
Exactly. And let me tell you, the biggest buzzkill, do not one-up them. Oh, I went to Australia. I've been to 20 countries, whatever. I've been to 37 countries and it was so amazing. Like, do not one-up them.
Yeah. It is not attractive. If you have to say it, it's probably not true, is a rule of thumb I have. So if you're trying to say how cool you are, you're probably not that cool.
Yes.
So don't say it.
Exactly. It's so great. Share, like, they went to some country. You talk about something that you learned, but just make sure you are not trying to one-up them.
Yeah. And even if you've been to that same country and you have shared experiences, you can say, me too. Oh my gosh, what was your favorite part?
Yes.
And then share yours. But don't make the first thing you do about you.
Yes, exactly.
Toss it back.
Toss it back.
This is, again, all genders. Women do this, men do this. It's not a one or the other does it more. I've seen both parties do it.
Make sure it's a dialogue. Like we hear post-date feedback pretty often of, he did not ask me one question.
Yeah.
So make sure it's pretty balanced and even in the questions.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts on that too. All right. I can't get into all of it.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing that was actually my personal strength as a dater is a friendly challenge or being playful, like having some kind of tease that's playful. Again, it's not negging, but it's some kind of friendly challenge. So what I did with my husband on our second date, we were in this like cute, dimly lit Italian restaurant. And I was like, tell me a story about what you think that table over there is all about.
So good.
How do you think they know each other?
Oh,
And
I love
he would
it.
tell me this like story and I'd be like, you're so off. This is my version of it. And we would just kind of playfully go back and forth. And to this day, we love doing that. He'll always be like, tell me what you think of that table, because it's so funny.
Yes.
But it creates this banter and lightheartedness where you don't have to just focus on like, what can I learn about this person? It's also like, let's just bond over something silly and playful.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love it. I love a challenge.
Yes.
So like there are obvious ones. You can play pool, you can play darts, like challenge them to something. But exactly like what you said, a simple one is you sit down and you go to order and you're like, what do you think I'm going to order? And I'll tell you what I think you're going to order. Like, you seem like an old fashioned kind of guy. You
Love
know,
that.
just make up some game like that.
Yeah. One time my husband, I think it was like our 4th date or something, challenged me to we were sitting in like a long bar bench and there were people, like it was kind of everyone was talking, but we didn't know the people next to us. He's like, I dare you, if you get in conversation to them, to have an accent and to tell them a wild story of how we met.
I love it.
And I did it. And it was so funny. And it's like such an easy, quick. And then eventually I told them, like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm being playful.
I had a guy one time. I really wanted this coat. I wanted this blue coat. And he's like, I will buy you that coat if you eat those 3 anchovies. And I don't, like, I'm vegan. I don't want to eat it. But I really wanted the coat.
Did you
I ate the
You betrayed all your morals and values for a blue coat? Talia, this is a deeper thing here.
I wish I still had that coach.
She's like, I ate animals and I liked it.
That was one thing. And then I talked about this on another podcast. By the way, I am maybe one-upping. So don't do this on a date. But I think I mentioned this already. I went on a date with this guy and he said, while we're on this date, you have to steal something. I'm going to steal something too. And then we're going to get in the car. We're going to show each other what we stole. I stole a pen. He stole a salt shaker. And it was so funny.
Okay, so basically Talia's way of flirting is betraying all morals, ethics, values, and just going for it to get the guy. She's like, I hate those anchovies. I stole that pen. Everything went out the window.
It all worked out.
That's the level of commitment you need to dating to find your person.
I'm curious to get your take because it may be different. I think some people really try to go to the same place every time for dates because
like with a different date but same first date.
Yes, like they have their go-to restaurant that they feel comfortable. They know the table, they know the staff, and like so they go to the same place every time. I think it's helpful to pick a place that you both have never been to because then you can experience something together. It's a little more exciting. And you form inside jokes. I feel like there's just something about experiencing something in a different way where you just end up bonding. Where if one person has been to the same place over and over, they're just not quite as like excited.
Interesting. We have a mutual client. Sorry. We have a mutual client who goes to the same place for every first date. I don't know if you know this about him.
This is a lot of clients, but I don't know who you're talking about.
Anyways, I'll discuss after. But I actually have a little bit of a different point of view. I think there's pros and cons to both because I have also in the other direction heard feedback that they went to a place neither of them had been to before. It was too crowded. It was too noisy. And it just wasn't a good environment for the date. And they wish they would have known that before going to the date because it really impacted the ability to connect. So what I would say is if you do like going to the same place, it's nice in that you're familiar with it. You maybe are building relationships with the staff, which can be really appealing. You can show that you're comfortable there, but don't make it like that is your place and you're trying to show off and that this person knows that they are the 10th person to have gone on a first date with you there. That is such an ick. So you have to toe the line between being comfortable but still excited, open to what the other person wants to order. Don't assume that you just know everything because you've been there all the time. Make it a new experience based on the person you are there with. But if it's a comfortable place that you know works well with vibe, with volume, all of it, like it's okay to go for a first date, but you have to switch it up and allow for the new experience to be the person in front of you. On the other hand, it is nice to go to a new place because, first of all, it assumes that you are taking the other person into consideration when you're planning. So location, which is very important. And you are allowing for that new experience to happen together. But where you need to be comfortable is if you walk in and the environment does not allow for a connection, do you feel confident enough or have one or two backup plans nearby where you can say, you know, this doesn't feel like it's going to work best for us. Are you open to going to this other place I saw? That is another possibility. And be confident in pulling an audible. Is that the right word?
Yes. I don't know, but I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do go to a place that they've never been to before and they don't have a reservation and then they get there and they can't get in. That is the worst. The worst.
The worst.
So no matter what, get a reservation.
Yes.
And also maybe a plan B reservation so that if you do go in, you're like, you know what? This is a little crowded. I have a plan B. I made a reservation down the street. Let's try that.
What a move.
What a move.
Yeah.
That is so sexy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We love a plan B.
Love a planner. Love a planner. So I would say there's room for both options, but there's pros and cons and you need to be aware of each. You know?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's okay to go to some place as long as they don't get the vibe that you've been there 100 times with 100 different people.
Yeah, like you definitely don't want the hostess to be like, welcome back. So the other girl didn't work out? Who's this? Like, oh my God. Like, bye. The ending.
Yes,
the
most
finale.
Important part.
This is a hard one. Arguably one of the more uncomfortable things that you're going to have to train yourself to get comfortable with, the ending of the date.
Yeah.
Presumably in most of these situations, the men in a male-female dynamic, the men are going to have to take the lead because women like that and expect that. So this is mostly going to cater to the men listening. But I would say when you are leaving the date, you have to gauge her body language on top of all the context clues you've gathered from the date. If she was smiling, if she was laughing, if she seemed to be flirting back with you, you have a pretty good sense that she's interested in you. That doesn't necessarily mean that she wants to kiss you. Some women just have a no kiss on the first date policy. So you really want to gauge her level of closeness. Is she making eye contact? Is she staring at your mouth? All of these little things.
Is she like twirling with her hair?
Yeah. Is she lingering around? Like, oh, my Uber's here, but not getting into the Uber. Like all of these could be indications that she's open to a kiss. So there's possibility for that. The safest option is a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And walking her into her car, closing the door for her. That's the move.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of no fail zone if you are unsure or not feeling confident about going in for the kiss. If you are suspecting that she is just uncomfortable with being close still, there's not that physical connection quite yet built, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to touch, just leave it at a hug, walk her to her car. So those are the three scenarios that are possible. I would say more often than not, you should be executing on the second.
What if you like feel that she could be open to the kiss? Do you go in for the kiss or do you ask like, is it okay if I kiss you?
I'm always a fan unless she's like staring at your lips and making it very obvious, because sometimes you have those situations. That's what people do, by the way, when they want to kiss. They start staring at your lips and you're getting that vibe like,
what am I getting into here?
Yeah, exactly. So if you are unclear, but you know there's chemistry, it never hurts to ask as long as you are prepared for her to say no. If you can't handle the no, don't ask. Just give her a kiss on the cheek. If you feel okay with her saying, you know, I'm not quite there yet, then you can say, would it be okay if I kissed you? Just like that. Yeah. Confident, easy, neutral. And give her the opportunity to say, yeah. Or no, I don't kiss on a first date, but I'm really interested in like, can't wait to see you again.
Yeah. Perfect.
But you know yourself best. And if the no, not right now, will feel too hurtful, don't put yourself in that situation.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so you've nailed the first date.
We've nailed the first date. Okay. So now for one final section, I think it's helpful to teach people how to flirt in the wild when you see someone that you're interested in, but you will likely never see them again.
Yes.
Unless you go on a date. So as we talked about before, eye contact is a little bit different if you see them multiple times and if you are seeing them for the first time. So if you see someone like across the room somewhere at an event or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, like stare at them for 2 solid seconds, like try to make eye contact for 2 solid seconds. Like 1, 2.
Oh,
and then smile. How'd that make you feel?
A little fuzzy.
The 2 seconds is important. It's not just like a quick light. It's like, I'm noticing you. 1, 2.
Yeah.
And then smile. Then if you are able to, try to strike up some conversation. It doesn't have to be a long one. It can be like, have you been here before? Or do you live in the city? Some questions, some in to just have a sentence conversation with them.
Yeah. You can even start with, hey, I just thought I'd come and introduce myself to you.
Great.
If there's nothing else, if you can't think of a question, start there.
Yeah. Or even like if you are at a bar, you walk up to the bar and on the way you're like, cute shoes, or like, I like your hat, like I said before. Just something to have some interaction with them. Yeah. Doesn't have to be a full conversation.
Yeah.
Then, of course, I always come back to we should. If you are in a conversation and something comes up, the we should works every time. We should grab a drink. We should go to a Dodger game. We should go to blah, blah, blah. Can I get your number? So that works every time. So we talked about this in the Chrissy episode. She does this a lot. Like she will just have her number written down and walk up to people like anywhere at a coffee shop or whatever and walk up and be like, don't want to make you uncomfortable. I'm not even sure if you're single, but if you are, call me. If not, no worries. Bold, but
so bold.
So great if you're able to do that. So if you are meeting someone in the wild and it doesn't come up in the conversation where you're exchanging numbers, you can then write your phone number on a napkin or on a piece of paper. And as you're leaving, like, it was so nice meeting you. Like, call me sometime or like, it was so nice meeting you. Here's my number. And you just walk out. So how do you feel about that? Do you think you'd ever do that?
I love it.
Okay, good.
I have been the receiver of a number on a napkin. And I did not call that number, but I did love it.
Yes. It's so no matter what, it's flattering.
Yeah. And I didn't call the number for various reasons, not because they gave me their number on a napkin, but yeah, it is like, it's flattering. It's easy. It's low pressure.
Exactly.
Because if you expect someone to agree to a date with you in person in that interaction, you're going to get a lot more either yeses that then turn into nos or people unsure what to say. And then, I don't know, you're going to put them a little bit too on the spot.
Yes. So in a perfect world, you're doing that because you've had some sort of conversation with them and it feels like an easy in. However, if you see someone across the room and you have had no interaction with them, you can still make a move. So I did this. I was at a bar and I saw this guy across the room who was super cute. He was with mostly women. I think they were at a work happy hour. And I wrote my number on a napkin. I just walked up on my way out and I was like, hi. Call me, and just ran out. I had no conversation with him. I didn't even know his name. Maybe because he was surrounded by all of his coworkers, he felt that he had to call me. They maybe kept asking him about it. Who knows? He called me and we dated. I had no interaction with him at the bar that night. So even if you don't even have a conversation with them, you can still make a move.
Yeah, 100%. Another move is like if you have a small interaction with them. Let's say that you're both at the bar getting a drink at the same time, but you're there with friends. So you have to separate and go your own ways. You have a small, tiny conversation, but before you leave or before you see them leave, pass them the number.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah.
Or, you
just
buy them a drink. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
No more missed opportunities. We're almost in 2025.
Yeah.
Can everybody agree? No more missed opportunities.
No more. We're done.
Just go for it. We're done. No one wants to be on the apps.
Yeah.
You all want to meet in the wild.
Yeah.
So this is how you get it done.
100%. We need to shoot our shot because even the Surgeon General is claiming loneliness to cause a health risk.
Shoot your shot for the Surgeon General.
Yeah. You have more like risk of stroke, more risk of like early death. Nobody wants that.
I know. For real, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And as we talked about in the beginning, flirting is a skill and it takes practice. So you've got to start somewhere.
Yes.
Just take this list, try a couple with your barista, with anyone that you feel comfortable with. Shoot your shot.
That's the thing. If you are starting from ground zero, if any of these make you feel uncomfortable, just start getting comfortable connecting with new people in a platonic way. Just start building the skill. That's all you have to do.
Yeah. And like just practice like a line or two. You walk into the gym and they're like, oh, wow, twice in one day. You're like, lucky you. You're like little tiny lines. Like just practice.
Yeah.
See how it feels.
Improv can also help.
Yes.
Take an improv class. Yeah. Get more comfortable with just calling things quickly and spitting them out.
Yeah. And even if you're not that great at banter, the eyes never lie. Did I just make that up?
Yeah, but I like that. It was a little creepy, but I liked it. Don't make too much like eye contact, though. There's nothing worse than feeling on the side of your face that someone is staring at you and just waiting for you to look back.
2 seconds max.
People can feel when you stare at them. So if they are not staring back, it is because they don't want to. Let me just put that out there.
Okay, that's fair.
But also the eyes do not lie. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you got some helpful tips here. Please reach out. I would love to hear if any of these work for you.
Yes.
You can message us at You Seem Great Podcast on social media. But do yourself a favor and try a couple of these before the end of the year.
Yeah. If you bomb and you need support, call us. Text us. We got your back.
So happy to help you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of You Seem Great Podcast. If you like us, please rate and review us. We love you, so we hope you love us back. Thank you for joining today's episode of You Seem Great. You can find specifics of the episode in our show notes.
Want more? Follow us at You Seem Great Podcast on social media. Dating is hard. We're here to help.